What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here in the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition of MLB and NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a president of our great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. A lot still to be determined here in the evening window, but ended up on Paul Skeens under 6.5 strikeouts. That went well. Also ended up on under 5.5 strikeouts for Jose Berrios. That did not go very well. Well, Toronto ends up hitting the 2 home runs. It was a whole ruckus entire thing, but Berrios ends up going over there. Those were both in the premium Discord, and obviously we're waiting on the biggie for me here in the late night window. Detroit money line, my favorite play from the day yesterday, but so ends my worst week of betting of the entire year. The last 5 days have not been good. That is pretty self-apparent, and I'm not trying to hide it, not trying to hide results or at all, but I do get a little perturbed from two things. One, people saying, oh, a couple of home runs here and there aren't going to change it. Yeah, they do. When they're plus 400, plus 500, and now gone blanked basically the entire week other than Shohei Ohtani, which basically doesn't count because he's Shohei Ohtani. And secondly, record is irrelevant relative to units won because, well, underdogs are 9 for 9 so far today on Thursday. 9 for 9 at plus money across the entire board is a lot different than 9 for 9 across an entire thing of favorites. I just don't understand what people are getting at with that. Oh, and the other part, we got some nice graphics that are going to be showing up here. I've got Lindy's long balls. That's going to be the short that's going to be showing up here on the Odd Chopper YouTube channel. So I'm excited about that. Going to unit track it from now until the end of the season, just because I'm so sick of just the hearsay. Again, quarter unit plays on all the home runs, but we got a great graphic that we'll show you before we break down the leans. It talks about why they're leans. They're not plays yet. Leans are not plays. And the people who keep putting record and involving leans, it's just driving me nuts. You need to focus on the likes. Those are going to be the things that long-term are going to sustain. And the locks, I told you, we are not going to lock anything. Basically, we had, 2 locks? Over 2, by the way. Of course we were, but over 2 on the locks in the month of April. That's just how you need to do things early on. April was a disaster overall after a 2-week stretch that was awesome to start off the season and surprising, but that is now the 3rd straight April that has not been profitable. But you know what? I think people who have watched the video for the last 4 years know May, June, July, August, September. Now we rock in the baseball street. So I'm excited. Hopefully you're excited as well. Rant over. Lindy 5, that's the premium Discord. If you guys want to come in and talk intelligent questions, have actual conversations about baseball and understand that it's not just flipping coins in the world, well, that's the place to go find me. Lindy 5, it's just $5 for a week to come hang out. And hey, if you don't enjoy it, no harm, no foul, but I think you will. I think you'll stick around because you'll understand the time, investment, and opportunity you have to be in there. And that is down below. We'll also talk about Portfolio EV, a great market-based tool here at Odd Chopper that we'll talk about at the halfway portion. Lindy 1 is the code you want to use that. So Lindy 5 for the Discord, Lindy 1 for Portfolio EV. Without further ado, though, let's get this week finished off on the right note. Let's get May going. That would be great, producer Jacob. Let's get to the leans. But first, beautiful graphic. Look at that. Producer Jacob is fantastic. How does Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks work? Well, we got red here in the lean. We got yellow in the like. We got a green for the lock. Your boy himself decided to put this together. And there's cool things you can do now in the world. It's also terrifying. But lean, not yet a play. They're not plays yet. They're things that I am leaning because I want to break down every game for you. I want to try to talk about angles, things that I'm thinking about betting. But as of this video, as of recording, they are not things I have wagered any money on, or are not like the lean likes where it's like, hey, I understand exactly where this number is going to open. I'm going to attack it. You need to as well. Oh, like those are quarter unit to 0.99 units. Now, anything over a unit that goes into the lock category, but I like going very, very light. We have not had a lot of locks on this program. Again, 2 of them in the entire month of April. That is because likes, we are trying to build our bankroll over a long amount of time. And you really don't want to be over invested in the MLB streets because I'll have 15, 20 plays simultaneously going on. I'll also have Portfolio EV with another 15, 20 plays. It's a lot of exposure to any individual card or any individual play. So what do? Quarter unit, that's generally going to be the barometer of where the lowest home run plays are. Have I put 0.1 units on a home run play? Absolutely, but those would be like Steven Kwan plus 1,500, even though there's wind blowing out to right field and he's a contact guy. So those are the kind of situations. But on this program, anything that I'm talking about is going to start at a quarter and go up to the 0.99 unit section in the like category. Now, a lock, which we haven't had for a while in the MLB streets, had a couple in the NBA and they've gone pretty well. Lock, those are going to be anything that's over a unit. I will specify exactly how much I have on it. If it's minus 135, if I'm going to put 1.35 units on it, I'll explain that. If I'm going to have 2 units, because it's one of my favorite plays that I've seen in forever, and those are very rare, lock, that is going to be how I utilize it. So hopefully that helps. If you're new to the program, I'm sorry that I have to explain. Well, no, if you're experienced with the program, I'm sorry I have to explain it, but I know there are some new people who are watching on a day in, day out basis. Lean, like, lock. That's how it's been devised. That's what I've been doing for the last 4.5 years of this program. I hope that you enjoy. And now, without further ado, leans. Ooh, that was really, really snazzy by producer Jacob. We got ourselves Lindy's Leans. There you go. We got Washington and Cincy. Let's start breaking down some baseball. Also, thank you. Hit that like button. I know how much I've sucked the last week. I'm not immune to feelings and losing of money either, but Washington and Cincy, minus 1.5 here. It's going to be a lean purely because of the pitching disparity here. Hunter Green, he's a big favorite, but 200 expected batting average, 4.2% walk rate, 30% K rate. He's always had the strikeout stuff, and now even with the fly ball stuff, it's not affecting him as much, although the 10.9% barrel percentage freaks me out a little bit when you have James Wood, when you have CJ Abrams, when you have Nate Lowe, when you have Dylan Cruz. So I'm going to pump the brakes on Cincy here for the time being. And as for Mitchell Parker on the other side, ended up shorting his took his over on strikeouts against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That went well. He has only a 13% K rate on the season. I'm not going to be taking overs at 3.5s and 4.5s. We're just staying away from the rest of that game. San Diego, Pittsburgh. This one's interesting to me purely because you get Fernando Tatis in a ballpark that's not as basically he just hit so many no doubt home runs is what it comes down to, and you start to get like the plus 350s that you're going to show up in Pittsburgh. That's at least appealing to me. I'm very curious to see where books open this one. It's not a great ballpark. PNC is not ideal, and it's comeback Keller, Mitch Keller on the mound over there. Dylan Cease on the mound for San Diego. Numbers look pretty efficient at open. Arizona and the Phillies, Harper home run. Yeah, we've got 3 home runs kind of sectioned out here. Now, home runs have gone ice, ice, baby, do, and not in a good way or an enjoyable music hit over the course of the last 4 days for me. But Arizona and Philly, I think there are some targets here. First off, Philly's bullpen is not all that in a bag of potato chips. Secondly, Jesus Luzardo does give up fly ball contact. 44.7% ground ball rate is actually improved, but 25.5% fly ball rate. I don't think we can tangle with too much on the Arizona side, but Merrill Kelly's got issues this year. 30.9% fly ball rate, so nearly 5% higher. Over 5% higher than that of Jesus Luzardo, the lefty. And now Merrill Kelly, the righty, 11.3% barrel percentage, no strikeouts showing up. Kyle Schwarber definitely in play as well. Max Kepler definitely in play. Been playing him a ton this year, even though hasn't had great results. Of course, he hits a double today. But Harper home run, that's the one that's really standing out to me because his numbers have gotten worse. It's almost like recency bias. Oh, he hasn't gone long lately. And some books stand pat with it. Some books really stand pat with their numbers, but 48.8% hard hit, 15-degree launch angle. I'm curious, plus 330 or better is going to be where I'm looking at Harper. And I think we get like plus 375-ish tomorrow. I'll for sure post something over on No Vigor Profit X, and you'll for sure see it if it is in Lindy's long balls, the short on the Odd Chopper YouTube channel. Abreu here, the Twins going into Fenway. That'll be fun for me to watch as a fan. Obviously, my Minnesota Timberwolves are making me happy at the moment. But Joe Ryan, Brian Bayo, yeah, there's power being given up by both of them here. Now, Brian Bayo just got a late start on his season. Joe Ryan, we've seen quite a bit. Extreme fly ball pitcher, although 223 expected batting average and good strikeout stuff. There's some push and pull with everything there, but Wilyer Abreu, speaking of pulling, 22.2-degree launch angle, 400 xWOBA, 547 expected slugging. Like what we've seen from him, even though he did not go long in Toronto, and that hurt my feelings today. Next card of Lindy's Leans. Boom! That was the weirdest sound effect ever. The A's in Miami, don't even want to talk about it. Do you know who's on the mound? You don't know either of these people. Let me just break them down for like 3.3 seconds. We got something named a Hoagland starting for the Athletics. Gunnar Hoagland. Now, he's destroyed AAA. 2.43 ERA, 1.06 whip, and that is in the PCL, the Pacific Coast League that I talk about all the time. But he comes up now. I'm not sure that this righty has everything to be able to get strikeouts right from the get-go. Although, if he had to get dropped into any spot in Miami against this Miami Marlins offense, pretty good spot to drop. As for the Marlins on the other side, they have Valente Balazzo, who's been having decent results, just 2 starts for him so far, but a 1.63 whip, no strikeout offerings. That is going to be few and far between. Definitely looking at A's hitters props, but they haven't dropped yet. Houston, Chicago White Sox. That is your next lean that we've got on the board. Again, I want to still talk you through all these spots. It's not that I don't care about talking you through every single game like I did before. It's just simply simplicity of the graphics, saving ourselves a little time to be able to get to the good stuff and focus on the good stuff. Framber Valdez has the good when it comes to the ground ball rate. Had an awesome festivity the last 2, and he's somehow not gotten a win in either of them. 6 innings, 8 innings, only 7 hits against San Diego wasn't as good, but only 2 earned in 14 innings in the last 2, that is, so 4 total earned. Yeah, math is fantastic. But anyway, the strikeout stuff's a little weird to me, and that's the main reason that I'm not going to go and freaking lock this in. You're getting like minus 130, minus 140 here, and Houston run lines against the White Sox with Framber giving up contact. It's a little strange. And Jonathan Cannon, this is going to be a guy who I think has okay stuff. He might end up being the best of the pitchers. There are not many pitchers there for the White Sox at the moment. He's gone 6 and 7 2/3 his last 2. More of a fly ball guy. I don't love that against Houston, but he gets the platoon against everybody outside of Alvarez in that lineup because, again, Houston only has 1 lefty. That is wild. First 5 under 4.5 is going to be the Cubs-Milwaukee lean here at the moment. We got 2 first 5s that are going to be on the card here in their respective spots, and I think both are totals here off the top of my head. Yeah, both of them that I've bet are totals, but under 4.5 is a total here as well. That is with an interesting pair. We got, Ben Brown. This guy has been brutal to start off the season for the Cubs. And Quinn Priester, son of a Priester man, not been very good himself. Boy, oh boy, I'm not taking it under 4.5 no matter what, even though the data says that should have been a play. The Mets and Cardinals first 5 under 3.5. This was not a play, and I'm more considering this one than the previous one, so take that for what you will. Sonny Gray and Clay Holmes. These are 2 awesome starters right now. Sonny Gray getting back into the mix here. I miss him in Minnesota. He was good times, but he's just kind of routinely showed up, gone through his motions, 3.60 ERA, 1 whip, gives up some of the hard contact from time to time, but overall been showing up, dealing. Yeah, I'm surprised that isn't a play for me, but it isn't at the moment, even though it's nice plus money on me under a 3.5. That whole run is a big deal with the Mets offense. And now 2 more lanes rounding it out. We got 5 plays coming to you in the MLB streets. Detroit, the Angels just don't want run lines. Yes, that is what I'm basically saying here because the lane is looking at the Detroit side. It's Tariq Skubal, the best pitcher in baseball, going up against Jose Soriano, who gives up tons of ground ball contact. It just freaks me out. Soriano, I give a little bit of respect to with the ground ball rate, although one of the platoon against these lefties, Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, bring them up a lot. They're really good at baseball. Kerry Bonds, as we like to call him. And San Francisco, Colorado. It is wild to see a 4.5 that the data actually likes the over of, but that is what you get when you get Senzatella and Robbie Ray, who walks so many guys, 14.2% walk rate to start off the season. So you get a brutal starting pitcher. You get Robbie Ray, who walks everybody, and a ton of righties. All the good batters in the Colorado lineup come from the right side, whether that's Beck, whether that's Doyle, whether that's Toglia. I mean, all these dudes, I guess Toglia's switch hitter, but that's beside the point. Don't want to ruin a good story. Hunter Goodman from the right side. Yeah, I still don't feel great about it in San Francisco, so I'm going to stay away. All right, let's get to some likes now, shall we? Lindy 5, of course, if you guys want to jump in the Discord, which again, everybody just standing pat, hanging out, understand that the tough times of this week are almost behind us, that's for sure. But Lindy 5, friends, $5 for your first week. Would love to have you in there. Hit me up over on X at Eric Lindquist. Be happy to help you out, help you find your way to the Discord. And if you ever have questions, I've got answers. Well, I haven't had the answers this week, that's for sure. But we are standing pat. We are going to get ourselves back in motion. Lindy 5 down at the link below. Alrighty, y'all, to the picks we go. Producer Jacob still likes me. That's nice. But everybody has a bad week. You had a bad week. Your take? I guess it doesn't have the same ring of had a bad day. Not that it even like rhymes. It's just weak. It's a harsh word. Anyway, Kansas City plus 1.5 at Baltimore begins our card. And boy, oh boy, didn't see this one coming down the pipeline, but it was something that popped up on my sheet the other day in a major way. And what was it, friends? It was out of the middle of nowhere, us betting Drew Walters to get a hit. Now, he's only got a 253 expected batting average, but what's happened? He's gotten moved up in the lineup order from around the 9-hole, 8-hole to the 6-hole last time around, and that was even against a righty. And now he faces Dean Kramer, and his 299 expected batting average gives up fly ball content and contact, if you will. But the whole thing for Drew Waters is that there's really not any pinch hitting risk because he is a switch hitter, lefty and righty. He finds ways of being effective just getting on base, and we ended up on the over of total bases there for him, 0.5 total bases or just one hit. It was minus 110 over in Tampa Bay the other day. Didn't show up today on Thursday, but now on Friday, there's a market that I don't tap into very often that I reran some simulations for, and it's the singles market. Yeah. Woo! It's been almost 10 years since I was single. I mentioned I love my wife again. Wanted to say that. Drew Waters to get a single is plus 110 at DraftKings at Open. I think it's plus 114 now over at FanDuel. That's a spicy meatball and not something I expected. But if Drew Waters in his 28.9% hit percentage, like, again, there aren't many situations where it's not a single for him is what I'm getting at. So with his expected batting average, you are avoiding what? He's had 2 triples, 3 doubles. That's actually a gigantic number that I didn't expect. That's 5 total base hits that were beyond the singles. Otherwise, his other 18 hits have been singles. Fire it up, friends. Drew Waters to get a single. Can't believe that that's real. Here's a play that's more in line with it. Quarter unit, that is your home run standard. That is the standard. It's not full units. Don't come at me, bro, with the ridiculousness. You're not putting a full unit on every home run. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's a good way to drain your bankroll with a bad week like I've had. But anyway, Tampa Bay at New York. Let's get a smile on that face. We got Ben Rice back in our lives. Now, of course, he goes double dong the day after I put like 0.1 units on the old double dong. Again, that would only be in premium Discord. Don't worry about it. Ryan Pepio, Max Fried. That's the combination here. Max Fried been very, very good. Ryan Pepio been very, very bad compared to expectations. 10% barrel percentage. Giving up hard contact. 4.24 ERA is actually better than his 4.61 expected ERA. I used to be a Pepiot guy, but Pepe no is going to be what we say here. Ben Rice, he's got that dog in him, continues to make hard contact. There's been 8 home runs given by Pepiot in the course of this season already. Going into New York, smaller ballpark, even though Steinbrenner Field has been playing pretty small for him down there in Tampa Bay. Ben Rice did homer, plus 400 at Opie and ESPN. Anything better than plus 365, go ahead and bet it. Quarter unit, next game. The Cleveland Guardians of the Galaxy taking on the Toronto Blue Jays of nothing. And yeah, Blue Jays, of course, I ran into Cy Barrios today. Thanks a lot, bro. But I really like what they've done with Chris Bassett at the moment. 34.4% hard hit, 27.1% K rate. And he throws an allotment of pitches. And I was trying to figure out exactly what's going on because there are 8 pitches listed on Baseball Savant for him. And his usage is way up on a couple of different things. And what has changed? Well, still throwing a sinker as the primary pitch, but throwing the curveball more, throwing the slider a little bit more, and throwing a split finger that barely was introduced last year. Now it's starting to show up as like his 4th pitch in the mix. And it's a really, really bad pitch at times, but it's going to be much better against lefties going forward, in my opinion. And Chris Bassett has that fastball and that sinker working, but the breaking value is now starting to show up with that split finger, with the cutter, with some other things. Well, not the cutter, sorry. With the slider, it is specifically that's actually later there. Changeup doesn't really exist. He's thrown it like 7 times this year, but he's just a major league pitcher at the moment. And you combine that with Logan Allen on the other side, who I'm not a huge fan of by any means. Not the best stuff. Last season, 5.90 expected ERA. This year, 4.55 expected ERA. But this has to do with some of the splits we're looking at. Toronto, Yeah, they've smashed lefties to start off the season, 123 WRC plus, but you're getting 4.5 in one of the more pitcher-friendly ballparks we have on the game environment for the day. Again, when they have the roof closed up there in Toronto, pretty neutral, actually. I like the under of the first 4.5 that we've got at -105 on DK. I feel really good about Bassett, even against some of the lefty power. And I think Logan Allen does just enough, plus probably gets a quick hook sooner rather than later here as Cleveland, they need to win some ball games, even though they had some weird weather stuff that went on after the fact today. Minnesota, they ended up playing till infinity o'clock. Let's get to the next one. 2 more MLB plays. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as I break down my favorite pitcher going. I've talked about him for 2 years now. Just needed him to stay healthy at some point last year. Now that he stayed healthy, one of the few Dodgers pitchers who can. Boy, oh boy, is he showing out. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, friends, 1.06 ERA, 1 flat whip, just looking electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. He had 2 home runs that he gave up to Detroit in his first start in the States this season. Obviously, he had the Cubs start over in Japan and just rocked out with his arm out. But anyway, Yamamoto, it could be an arm. He's really good at pitching. He's given up 1 earned in his last 4 starts. He's gone 6, 6, 7, 5, 1 earned, 24. Just absolutely freaking absurd stuff, friends. Get down, get your eagle on. Don't know what else to tell you other than Yoshinobu Yamamoto against this Atlanta lineup that really doesn't like to exist at the moment. They go into Colorado and just get completely destroyed by Colorado's awful, the Dollander fellow. 22.3% K rate is like middle of the road. 104 WRC plus, like middle of the road. But Yoshi gets a bunch of Ks in this spot. 5.5 is the opening number at DK, -105, -110 now. Go ahead and bet it. Don't regret it. That rhymed. Next. Said I had 2 first 5s. This would be the second one that we've got on tap for today and our last in the MLB streets. Then we'll cover the 1 NBA game we have on our slate. And we'll graciously head into the weekend. And you don't have to listen to me talk anymore, which is probably a win for everybody involved. Brian Wu taking on Jack Leiter. And Jack Leiter, oh, is he starting to look good. Now, he was the one who was promised. He was the number 2 pick in the 2021 draft. Vanderbilt's finest. But didn't show up when he showed out there last year. Got completely decimated. Had come back from Tommy John. Nothing went well. Nothing. 420x Wobicon. Let's not do a 310x Wobicon, which is definitely something I like to pay attention to. 2.70 expected ERA is fantabulous. 29.4% hard hit. Looks extra kinds of special. And this is in 3 starts. Now, he had been out for a long while. Didn't know what we were going to get out of him. Kind of an abbreviated start, but even an abbreviated start turns into bullpens, and bullpens are generally going to outperform most of the starters that you look at over a long-term sample because you can take the platoons that you want. You get to kind of pick and choose. You get to be the first person who picks, and then if they want to pinch hit, they can do it after the fact. The other team can. But first 5, under 4.5 here in Texas, in Arlington. Again, roof has continually been closed there in Globe Life, so under 4.5 just looks extra kinds of special. -120 on FanDuel. My 5th play of the day in the MLB streets. Let's get back on track. And hey, let's talk some NBA after Portfolio EV. Before I spend a little bit of time breaking down NBA, and by a little bit of time, I mean like 2 minutes. Lindy 1, that is Portfolio EV. That is the link you want to be utilizing down below. The best market-based tool in the entire industry, period. No, full stop. You've got 2 weeks of it completely free down below when you use promo code Lindy1. So use promo code Lindy1. Check it out for 2 weeks. You don't like it, we'll refund your money, and that is $0. Pretty good deal. Alrighty, y'all. Back to the picks we go. NBA time. Houston just decimates Golden State. Not even funny. However, a UCL injury is a big freaking deal here for Steph Curry. Can't believe that got leaked somehow. Now, Steph, he still had found ways to be, insane there in Game 4, but Game 5, oh boy, it came way back down to earth there. And no, it was Game 3 that he looked awesome. Game 4, he was down to earth. And then Game 5, really down to earth for everybody as Houston just wipes the floor with them. Pat Spencer headbutt. That was fun to watch. But now we head into this Game 6. Pretty decent little favorites are the Golden State Warriors. And we'll see. I think the Steven Adams lineup comes back in a major way in this game, especially if it stays close. Steven Adams sharing the floor with Alperen Sengun. I want to pay attention to those props and see kind of how the public moves those numbers, because it's sharp money. Yeah, sharp money's already reacted to a lot of these numbers by the time you hear this. It's because the lines have been out all day on Thursday, and now it's all day on Friday. So pay attention. There's one play that I think is pretty darn sharp, and it was something from DK DFS that he had brought up the other day. It was rebounds plus assists for Jimmy Butler, 11.5, continually sitting at about the same number. Now, Jimmy Butler, he'd obviously sat out that game 3 festivity after getting hurt in game 2. Didn't matter. Golden State ends up winning that when Jimmy Butler comes back, and, well, they took care of business, went up 3-1, and then show out in Houston and just get showed up. Now, Jimmy Butler, he is going to have to carry more of an offensive load for this team, and obviously, Houston Golden State winner. I want this series to go 7 games. It's what I really want as a Minnesota fan. But Jimmy Butler, friends, sitting there, averaging 5.4 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game. That is 10.7. But 31.4 minutes per game. Think about how much he wasn't trying in Miami this season. Now let's also add in that they need the rebounding attention against the best rebounding team in the NBA, the Houston Rockets. Now let's add in that he played 40 and 42 and 40 minutes in the 3 competitive spots where he didn't get completely torched up. And I'm counting the Memphis game as one of those because, again, they needed to beat Memphis to move themselves into this situation. They still ended up in the play-in, or not in the play-in, but like they ended up playing themselves out of that. No, they won the play-in against Memphis. That's what it was. That's what I was getting at. 40 minutes, 42, 40. My whole thing is that you put Jimmy Butler in for 40 minutes in this game against Houston, he is destroying this line. Now, I'm not going to lock it purely because it is moved from 10.5 to 11.5, but it's plus 110 over at DK. Jimmy Butler over 11.5 rebounds plus assists. My favorite play, plus money. As long as you have a plus sign in front of it, when you click it a ticket. Let's see a seatbelt for us, and let's get ourselves the heck up out of here. To the weekend we go. And that does it for a quick and easy edition. Well, no, it wasn't so quick. 27 minutes. Sorry, producer Jacob of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks here in the MLB and NBA streets. Hit that like button on the way out. Promise next week should be better. Well, it can't get worse, that's for sure. So looking forward to that. Again, would love to have you in the premium Discord hanging out because it is a long-term sample size game. We are only 1 month, 1 full month done. We have 1 full month of May, full month of June, full month of July, full month of August, basically a full month of September. 5 more months. So 1 month compared to 5 months. We got tons ahead of us. Let's stay focused. Let's start cashing some tickets. That's for sure. Lindy 5 and also Lindy 1 if you guys want to take advantage of Portfolio EV down below. Thank you, producer Jacob. Till next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB and NBA streets on Friday.